This is RHM for RHM Movie Reviews. This time I'm going to be talking about the Marvel movies. I'll take a couple episodes because I gotta get through all the Marvel movies I own. That's the Spider-Man movies after I do all the actual MCU movies, and then the X-Men movies. Alright, first off is the all three Iron Man movies. I should this. Now there are with all three Iron Man movies there are different villains for each one. And great I applaud Jon Favreau and the casting directors at Marvel for actually casting for the great cast of the Iron Man movies. And I actually thank the people at Marvel for letting Jon Favreau give Robert Downey Jr. the opportunity to play Tony Stark Iron Man. Now, according to trivia, the reason Jon Favreau wanted Robert Downey Jr. to play Tony Stark Iron Man is because of his past. Back when he was getting arrested for possession. Or DUIs or stuff like that. Because of that, and the fact that Robert Downey Jr. himself has cleaned his up after something happened. I forgot what he cleaned up his act. Truly, he did. I'm happy he did. I know, Art, if you're watching this, thank you. I didn't mean to mention it. I just had to mention why you were cast as Tony Stark Iron Man. That's all. Now, in the second movie, you are introduced to Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow. And Scarlett Johansson does an awesome job. I can only guess she actually did go get a trainer. She was taught how to do those moves. And yes, Jon Favreau only directed the first two movies, but he's still great as Happy Hogan. And unfortunately, there was a recast because Terrence Howard and Marvel butted heads. It wasn't really a contract dispute. Is a real reason he is not in playing Rhodey in Iron Man 2, 3, or the Avengers movies. Or sorry, Avengers Age of Ultron. But he did good job in the first Iron Man movie as playing Rhodey, but Don Cheadle did a good job. Has done a good job at playing Rhodey as well. And the villains applaud Jeff Bridges for actually playing a actually pretty good villain. Mickey Rourke did a good job at playing his villain. I'm still not understanding what his villain actually did, but as far as I'm concerned, the real villain of Iron Man 2 is actually played by Sam Rockwell. Justin Hammer, I believe, is the real villain. For Iron Man 3, yes, Guy Pearce plays the villain. I forget the name of the villain's name. It doesn't really even say on the back in the description. But I would suggest, yes, you go to IMDb, you look at the cast, it'll say, and just so you know, the Mandalorian in Iron Man 3, if you watch it, he is a fake. You actually get to meet the real Mandalorian in another Marvel movie that is supposed to be coming out, I think, next year. So, and who they got. I'm not sure. I don't think I ever heard that they actually got to play the real Mandalorian. To me, that will be interesting. Next up is the Iron Man. Sorry, not that. I already did Iron Man. The Thor movies, which are good. Great casting for both movies. Tom Hiddleston does an excellent job at playing Loki. And I found an interesting thing in the trivia for Thor that Chris Hemsworth and his younger brother Liam were both up for the role of Thor. But yeah, of course, Chris Hemsworth got it. It's like, when I read that trivia, I was like, really? I didn't even know that. Yeah, it was a great cast for both movies. And gotta say, the character of Fandral is played by two very different actors. And the first one is played by Josh Dallas, who, after the first Thor movie, went on to play Prince Charming's David / Prince Charm. I forgot David's last name. I don't know if it says it. Oh yeah, / Prince Charming on the show. My favorite show is Once Upon a Time. Now that's the reason he couldn't do the other Thor, the second Thor movie, because he was too busy doing Once Upon a Time. But the other actor to play it was Zachary Levi, who, believe it or not, actually I think he was the first choice of the people at Marvel to play Fandral, but because Zachary Levi was actually at the time a little busy doing the show he was on at the time called Chuck. He was too busy doing that show to actually come in and do the scenes that Fandral is actually in. So Fandral looks different between the first Thor movie and the second Thor movie. The reason is two very different actors. And supposedly he's in the third Thor movie, but I'm not sure, because you really, really don't see him in the third movie. And of course, in the first movie, you get a brief glance of Hawkeye, played by Jeremy Renner. And I think he actually did a pretty good job, but when it came to the Avengers movies, I think he did a better job. Next one is the Captain America movies. Well, the first one and the second one, two very different villains. Like the Iron Man movies, where Thor was actually technically one straight villain, but not necessarily. Captain America, yes, two different villains. The villain in the first movie is played by an actor who we know as playing an actor who has played so many villains. He's only played one good guy, and that was a movie series based on, two movie series based on two very different book series. Actually, I don't know if The Hobbit is an actual book series, if there's more than one book for The Hobbit. But I know for Lord of the Rings, there are 3 books that I know. And a lot of it was a great cast for both movies. Of course, in the second movie, Falcon and the Winter Soldier are introduced. But it's the fact that the Winter Soldier is Bucky Barnes, who's actually really introduced in the first movie, with the rest of the cast, along with Captain America. And you should know, if you want to see Chris Evans in another Marvel, he had done two other Marvel movies before this, where he played the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, aka Johnny Storm, which, when he did that, yes, he was funny. Actually, I think he was funnier as the Human Torch than he is as Captain America, but that's just me. And done a great job at playing. I will say, yeah, he's done a great job at playing Captain America. Now, you should know that you may notice between the Iron Man movies and Captain America movies, Howard Stark is played by two very different people. Actually, the guy who plays Howard Stark in Iron Man 2 is the same guy who plays Howard Stark in the first Ant-Man movie. Excuse me. And I thought that was interesting because when they did Howard Stark in the first Captain America movie, you had Dominic Cooper, who is, I guess you could say he's an import playing an American character. And he does a really good job at it too. But the other guy, John, I forgot his last name now, but he did a good job at playing Howard Stark as well. You actually do see him. And so, a little spoiler alert for the last two Avengers movies. The last one. You do see him as Howard Stark again. All right, next one is the next two are the first two Avengers movies, which are good. But of course, with the first one, a lot of improvised lines. Actually, Thanos is sort of introduced in the first Avengers movie. He's not even seen in the second one. He is seen in Guardians of the Galaxy. But, well, actually, no, I think if you look at the Easter eggs for any of the movies, you'll notice that you may see Thanos in certain movies as the second Easter egg, or the first Easter egg for the Avengers movies. And Stan Lee has done cameos in all the MCU movies. And before I say anything else about the Avengers movies, I should tell you, yes, I do not own The Incredible Hulk, which is Chapter 2 in Phase 1. There's a reason I never saw it. I only saw the very first Hulk movie, which had Eric Bana, Jennifer Connelly, and Sam Elliott. Well, Sam Elliott and Josh Lucas. And that version was directed by Ang Lee. I've seen that version. I used to have that version. I don't think I own it anymore, but it was good. I can tell you that. It was a good movie. For Age of Ultron, it's great villain James Spader. I was going to say James Brolin, but I know better. Yes, James Spader plays Ultron, and he did a good job at playing that villain. It's like, I sort of forget, he can play a good bad guy, because he played the bad guy in the teen movies he was a part of back in the 80s. And of course, in Age of Ultron, you are introduced to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Actually, I think you're introduced to them in another movie. I forgot which one it is. But I like for this one, they did get Elizabeth Olsen and I think it's Aaron Taylor Johnson to play Quicksilver. Now, when I talk about the X-Men movies, I will talk about Quicksilver again, because that's at that time that these were being made, and the X-Men movies were being made by Fox. MCU and Fox weren't really together at the time. Now they are. And now, after I talk about the X-Men movies, I'll talk about how I'm waiting on pins and needles for the introduction of each of the X-Men in the MCU. Right. And the last one, well, for this episode, talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. Really great movie. Great cast. And actually now, well, as soon as Disney purchased Fox, Zoe Saldana became a part of now 2 movie franchises that are owned by Disney. And of course, I think Chris Pratt does an excellent job as Star-Lord or Peter Quill. I think he does an excellent job, and you got 2 great actors who do the voices for Rocket and Groot. Yes, Vin Diesel, if you're watching this, you do a very excellent job at voicing Groot. You only get to say 3 words. Oh, wait, 3 words repeated. I thought that was very interesting because I've never seen you actually play a character like that before, because I know I've only seen you in the Triple X movies. And I can just say one thing about the Triple X movies, and that is the fact that when Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, a lot of people know Samuel L. Jackson in the Marvel movies as Nick Fury. If you've watched the Triple X movies, you've seen him as another disfigured character. I forget the character's name. But I hate to say a little spoiler for those who haven't seen the 3rd Triple X movie. A little spoiler at the end. I think actually in the beginning and the end of the last Triple X movie, Samuel L. Jackson they gave nods to Samuel L. Jackson's character in the Marvel movies. Like mentioning the Avengers in the beginning of the movie, but then at the end of the movie you have his character wearing glasses, but one with one lens blacked out. And as far as I'm concerned, I say that is a nod to his character in the MCU. I applaud the producers of the Triple X movies for doing that and for letting that happen. And for Guardians of the Galaxy, Lee Pace plays the villain in this. I don't think it's... Yeah, it doesn't really say what his character is, but his character is mentioned in Captain Marvel. Or actually, you get to see him play the character again in Captain Marvel. Because if you know anything, if you've seen this movie, you know his character dies in this movie. And so, in the next one, I'll talk about the other Marvel movies I have. MCU movies I have. So, this is RHM for RHM Movie Reviews signing off.